Give to gain means understanding that nothing really grows in your hand if it never leaves. At 16 years old, I lost my favorite aunt. This was my paddy aunt, and she was only 44 years old. She died from pregnancy related complications, not because the doctors did not know what to do, but because the nearest hospital was more than an hour away. She left behind a 5-year-old son whom we raised. At 16 years old, I learned something that changed me forever, because I realized that access determines survival. So years later, that pain became a purpose, and that's the purpose of Abicare's Foundation. In just 2 years, we have provided medical care to over 40,000 patients in various communities of Enugu and Ebonyi State. We've delivered more than 200 babies safely at the primary health centers. But the real gain is not just in the numbers. The real gain is that the care is now closer to home. Even when I felt that I didn't have much to give during the growth of Abicare's Foundation, I gave my time. There were so many times I was tired. I gave my voice to the underserved community, and every time I gained something deeper than a recognition. I gained clarity, I gained strength from these women that travel so far just to come and receive care and deliver babies. As women, we are always giving. And that giving is not a weakness, but is a strategy and a legacy that will live on from when we're not longer here. During one of our pregnancy intervention screening at the health center, a woman walked 7 kilometers in active labor. 7 kilometers. I was in an active labor for my babies, and walking was the last thing I wanted to do. But the thing is, she had not received no antenatal care, not because she did not care, but because she could not afford transportation. Our midwife examined her and immediately knew that this was complicated. We transferred her to the teaching hospital, where she delivered safely with twins. We covered her hospital bills, provided baby supplies. When I visited her the next day, she said something I will never forget. She said, "I did not know that someone like you could care about someone like you." That statement changed me. She was an orphan with already 4 children at home. But that moment reminded me why we do what we do at Abicare's Foundation. When you give your presence, you restore dignity to some of these women. And that is the gain in what we do. Many young girls are taught to compete. I was taught the same thing too. But competition yields individual success, but collaboration creates multiple impact. So if I would say this in 2 ways. In my business in Hyde Park, my first manager, Anne, dropped out from school to learn baking. So I hired Anne when I built the business to a certain level. So when Anne came in, she introduced new recipes, helped me train staff, and then ran the business like her own. But I saw more in Anne, so I encouraged her and assisted her to return back to school. She graduated. She's a business owner, and my story is incomplete without Anne. So I learned that leadership is not about being the smartest person in the room, but it's about building rooms where others can grow. So that same principle built Abicare's Foundation. When I started the foundation with my sister-in-law, who is a family physician, I did not feel ready at all. But she told me, start and the rest will align. She brought doctors, nurses joined in, volunteers showed up, and together we have performed over 120 life-saving surgeries at the primary health center. We've distributed more than 150,000 medications across Ebonyi and Enugu State, and I could not do this alone. So I think when women stop fighting for one seat and start building more tables, everyone gains. So a few years after relocating back to Nigeria from the States with my husband, we began a simple tradition. So every Christmas we return to the village, just like we all do in the States, but this time with purpose. We paid school fees, we paid hospital bills, we supported small businesses, but we did not have much at this time. So, what my husband always says, if you have anything at all, if we have anything at all, we must share it. And that is the philosophy that shaped Abike's Foundation. Because I've learned something important. Power is not a position, it is responsibility. Titles are temporary, but impact is lasting. So when we enter communities as Abike's Foundation, we work with women leaders, youth groups, and religious organizations because we understand the power these groups have in getting things done at the community level. So power is about service, is about responsibility, and service builds trust in the community. And trust builds changes that saves lives. To the young girl watching this, maybe you're in primary school, maybe secondary school, but anywhere you are in the world, I was once a young girl. I want you to hear this clearly from me. I also have a young brother and other young ladies that are raising. You already have something. You have your mind, you have your voice, you have your effort, you have your kindness. You do not need to be rich, and I know social media paints a different picture of what the world should look like, but you do not need to be famous either. You do not need permission. But to do all of this, you need to give your best. Give your best at home, give your best in school, help another girl, ask questions. There is nothing like stupid questions. Speak up even when your voice shakes. Do not wait to be chosen. When you give what is in your hand, the world expands on it. And when women give, we do not just gain success, we gain future. Happy International Women's Day.